Great. Hello, everyone. Let's start today's session together. No matter where you are, this moment, let's put aside everything else. It is very easy for the mind to be busy. Busy with various things, which is endless. And can one have this sheer action to end all the busyness so we can stay here together to penetrate into the psyche, to find out what is actually taking place in the mind. What is actually taking place in its neuron system, in its world. It is rather easy for the mind to slip into various details of living. The media, the internet, is filled with various details. Various storytelling, explanations, speculations. However, when one observes oneself completely, the mind must go beyond all the details. Otherwise, one can't observe. Everything that is being observed is filtered with those details. Then it is still the continuation of these details. To observe totally, completely ourselves, one must go beyond details, not stuck in the details. That's perhaps one of the most difficult things for most of us to do. Because this world, is full of details, gossips, speculations. The mind is so petty, and everything around us perpetuates that pettiness. So one must deal with the pettiness. That's to free the mind from all the petty things. Then the mind can observe totally, completely what is going on mind. And this totality matters. Otherwise, there's endless fragments. One fragment is in conflict with another. And the mind is stuck in fragments, therefore in isolation. Perhaps that's one of the reasons why this world has become so individual. the individuality, the individualism, is strongly related to various infinitely divisive fragments. Oh, no sound? Oh, wait a moment. That's... Now, can everybody hear the sound now? If anybody can give me a feedback, that'd be perfect. So can the speaker be heard now? Can't either. Okay. No, it's okay. Can everybody hear it? Oh, it is very frustrating that the speaker has talked about 5 minutes and then there's no sound. All right, so we can restart the session. And the technical stuff is always complicated. Oh, all right, let's restart the session. Hopefully now, from now on, there will be no other technical issues. This world which we are living in is full of challenges, crises. And people are so busy with dealing with various imminent crises all the time. But rarely do we explore and find out the root of all crises. Obviously, it is impossible to deal with the crisis one by one because it is endless. Socially, economically, financially, life is full of challenges, problems. Why is the mind so busy with dealing with various things? It seems that that business is very easy, right? The mind can be busy with various things. But observing and understanding the root of all the issues demands a different quality of the mind. When the mind is busy, the mind is stuck in various details. When it is stuck, it cannot observe. When the mind is busy, the mind is occupied. Obviously, isn't it? By various things, subtleties, in these details. But to observe demands the mind to have space. Demands the mind to be silent, not a silence induced by something, but a mind that has vast space, not occupied by anything. Only such a quality mind can observe totally, completely, to find out what is actually taking place on the mind. The very seeing the root dissolve the issues. Because the very seeing the root is dealing with the root, not dealing with the leaves. But when the mind is occupied, when the mind has no space, the mind cannot observe. It can only see the leaves and be busy with various leaves, which are endless. So that's why it is necessary for one to investigate, to find out whether it is possible for the mind to have this equality, to have this vast space, to have this silence, to observe and understand what is actually going on inside us. Can the mind not be busy? Can the mind not be occupied? What occupies the mind? Various details, speculations, gossips, stories. Look at the content found in media and internet. There are various details, ideas. Descriptions, stories. They are so engaging, isn't it? The mind can be easily attracted by those things and start there. There are also movies, TV series, music, various entertainment. They are also very engaging, isn't it? So you see, the mind is always busy with those things. And this whole society, whole world, is perpetuating these things. Provides of such a web of entertainment for one to escape, to occupy the mind. Please be aware of this. We don't condemn anything. We just observe. Observe means that there's no justification, no condemnation. We don't use emotion to judge whether it's good or bad. We just observe what is actually in place in the world. The world is me, isn't it? It is the result of billions of neuron cells. It includes thoughts, sensations, feelings, emotions. To observe what is going on in the world is to perceive the actual activity of the neuron cells. But when the mind is stuck in thoughts, which create various details, then we can't perceive the actual activity of neuron cells, can't we? Because the actual activity of neuron cells are not thoughts. Neither theories nor ideas. But when the mind is entangled in ideas, various thoughts, details, it is isolated by thoughts. Therefore, it cannot perceive the actual activity of neuron cells. To perceive actually is observing. Otherwise, the mind is merely entangled in thoughts. It can analyze, it can interpret, it can translate, but it is not observing. The mind is interpreting, it's translating, analyzing, is the activity of the observer. It is rather easy to take the role of being an observer. But the fact is that the observer is not observing. The observer is the activity of thoughts based on knowledge, experience, ideas, theories, conclusions. It is merely translating, playing with thoughts, therefore stuck in thoughts. Can one perceive it? Actually, when one perceives it, actually, the mind is observing without being the observer. That's why it is so important for one to be aware this whole process of entanglement with thoughts. It is so subtle. It is so prevalent. Even to most people, perhaps deep-rooted. When the mind is stuck in thoughts, as probably most people are, the mind cannot perceive anymore. No wonder this whole world worships thoughts. Worships ideas, theories. All of those shows that the mind of human beings is trapped in thoughts. Therefore, we depend on thoughts. Creating various conditionings of the mind, different realities. Life has become utterly fragmented. Each fragment is in conflict with another. This is probably also the reason why this world has become so individualistic. The individuality and those fragments from the thoughts are strongly related. Life become utterly conditioned. Therefore, isolate. In that isolation, there's tremendous suffering. The activity of the neuron cells has gone wrong. Otherwise, one's life cannot be so individualistic and isolated. Everybody knows that, right? When the mind is very individualistic, very personal, it's very opinionated. There's various conclusions, beliefs, ideas, which are part of one's egocentric existence. All of the things never end the suffering. Instead, perpetuates the suffering and this sorrowful existence of human beings. Seeing this, life imprisoned in thoughts, what is one to do? Can a life be free? Can the brain be free of all the fragments? can one end this sorrowful existence and its tremendous suffering? Can I be free by depending on another? Can I be free by adopting others' theories, ideas, views, or practices? Can I be free by following somebody, some gurus, some spiritual authorities? Can my life be guided by others? When I depend on a theory, depend on what others says, or be guided by anybody else, the mind is still entangled in thoughts, isn't it? The verbs are become so important because they are conveying the ideas, the theories, or what others says. So it is still on the level of intellectual or verbal, isn't it? Therefore, it is still stuck in thoughts. Thoughts bring about fragments. Thoughts bring about contradiction, therefore disorder. Thoughts imprint the mind. Can the mind be free from thoughts? It does not mean that we have no thoughts, but the mind cannot be occupied by it. Thoughts have their functional purpose, has its place. But why the mind is always occupied by thoughts? That's the problem we need to deal with. When the thoughts function, they function. Like the knowledge, like the various technical knowledge. I need to know how to drive a car, or to pay money in the supermarket to buy food. Those have their right place. But why? But is that necessary for the mind to be occupied by thoughts all the time? If the mind is always occupied by thoughts, it is never free. And the mind is stuck in various issues. One can say it obviously, right? So can the mind have this space? Not the space created by thoughts, but a space when the mind is not occupied by thoughts. When the mind is stuck in thoughts, analyzing, translating, contemplating, speculating, the mind is still stuck in thoughts. Therefore, thoughts continue. The occupation continues. But when the mind observes the total movement of thoughts, that's to perceive the actual activity of neuron cells. Thoughts come to an end. Please see the fact of it. When the mind is perceiving the actual activity of the neuron cells, which is to observe this total movement of thoughts, thoughts come to an end. But when the mind is stuck in the details created by the thoughts, the mind is not observing. Therefore, all the issues continue. Can one say this? Actually, please don't agree or disagree with the speaker, which has no meaning. But can you observe this in your mind? Because only you can do that. Otherwise, they are only words. Can you observe yourself and then make sense of what is being said here? Your perception, your observation matters tremendously. When you are doing that, then what the speaker says here has its function. If you don't do that, then what the speaker says become ideas, therefore meaningless. So can the mind perceive the actual activity of the neuron cells, which is the movement of thoughts, the total movement of it? In that very doing, awareness comes. Not to ask how to have awareness. You can't seek it. Only when the mind is perceiving, awareness arises naturally, uninvited. So that's something one must do in when living, to break up the continuity of thoughts. The continuity in the sense that the mind is stuck in endless fragments, stories, gossips, speculations. The mind keeps wanting to know more and more and more. this expansion of the consciousness. The mind is lost totally. Life becomes utterly confusing, as it is now. So can the mind observe the total movement of thoughts without being stuck in the details created by thoughts. Only then the mind is actually observing. And what is going on in the world is naturally revealed. And when the mind is actually perceiving, all the thinking patterns will be revealed naturally. In that seeing the patterns, there's insight, there's realization. But all those demands the mind to put aside everything that is invented by thoughts psychologically. Then it comes to this question: can the mind be silent? A silent mind is diligent. When the mind is perceiving, is dedicated to seeing the actual, the mind is very diligent. In that diligence, there's observation. Thoughts come to an end. But most of us are very lazy psychologically. The mind keeps seeking, wanting to be known, wanting to be confirmed, to be entertained. The mind always depends on something psychologically. Therefore, life becomes utterly conditioned, isolated. This individualistic world is out of that utter business of the mind, isn't it? When the mind is seeking fulfillment of various pleasurable things, satisfaction, recognition, the mind cannot observe or perceive. When the mind is seeking something, it already has an image about something, want to achieve it. Therefore, the mind is entangled in thoughts. Please see the fact of it. In that entanglement, there's isolation. We can give it a beautiful name, motivation, but actually it's isolation. Therefore, the mind is stuck in thoughts, in that continuity. When the mind is seeking, it has a direction to pursue. Therefore, it cannot observe, because observe means that one can observe totally. Just like there's a map in front of me. If I have the focus on a specific point, then I can't no longer observe the total map. Only when I have no direction to go to, I can see the total map. Similarly, when the mind has a purpose, has a target to achieve, to pursue, then the mind cannot observe. It is stuck in thoughts. Only when the mind stops seeking, that's to put aside all the directions. Then everything in this world that's taking place is naturally revealed. Because what is going on in the world is always there, always here. But when the mind is seeking, it cut off itself, isolate itself into the thoughts, and go lost there, confused, suffering tremendously. But when the mind stops seeking, which is also to end the ego. Because the ego is an entity that keeps seeking. So when the mind is seeking, the mind is stuck in thoughts, in various mental constructs created by thoughts. This society offers various structures for one to climb the ladder to become something. And the mind is infinitely stuck in that mental construct. Therefore, the egoism, individualism, bound with various conflict between people. This very selfish, self-centered living is everywhere. Everyone is seeking a purpose, seeking profit, seeking benefit. But in that seeking, the mind has tremendous fear. Fear of not being, not becoming, not reaching, not achieving. So can one not seek psychologically? When the mind is not seeking, it perceives. Otherwise, it is stuck in thoughts. When the mind is perceiving, the activities of neuron cells can't go wrong. But when the mind is seeking, the mind is in disorder. Therefore, the mind is in trouble. Can one perceive the fact of it? See the fact of it? That's why it becomes more and more urgent for one to have this real action in life. That's to perceive, not seeking. Not to seek what one wants. Then the egoism, the individualism continues with this tremendous suffering and isolation. When the mind is dedicated to see the actual activities of neuron cells, the total movement of thoughts, the mind is free from all the chaos, the trivials. When the mind is doing that, it may feel that one's way of living is totally against this so-called Western civilization. But who cares when one sees the essence of it based on various seeking activities, capitalism, commercialism, then nothing. So can one see the urgency of being awakened, not as a theory, as an idea, but in one's actual action? That's to perceive, to find out the actual activity of the neuron cells. Which means that the mind is no longer entangled with theories, ideas, opinions, views, conclusions, and various subtleties and details brought about by infinitely divisive thoughts. When the mind is doing that, it may come upon the totality, or oneness, or whatever it's called. Thoughts are never total. Thoughts breed fragments, conflict. And totality is beyond the thoughts. And when it's seeing that, there's a tremendous beauty in living. That beauty is the virtue. That beauty is compassion. That beauty is the freedom and goodness that keep flowering. All right, I think this is the first part of today's session. Now we have still some time left, and we can answer some questions if there are some. In this session, we deal with the facts of living, not ideas, theories anymore. We have to be honest. This Western civilization is entrenched in ideas, theories, views, endlessly. But to live a truthful life, we must see the essence of these absurdities of thoughts, ideas. Can one live a life in the Western world without the shadow of this so-called civilization? can one be a light to oneself? When one is observing, perceiving, and finding out what is actually taking place, one is a light to oneself. Because that's the intelligence of neurons. The mind is not trapped in thoughts, so the intelligence of the neuron cells is flowering. It functions. But when the mind is trapped in thoughts, in ideas, conclusions, views, opinions, it depends on thoughts. Therefore, it suppresses the intelligence. Nowadays, the artificial intelligence is popular. What a nonsense when the mind doesn't allow its intelligence to function. So can one do it? Can one act upon what one finds? Being a light to oneself. Ideas, theories, opinions have no place whatsoever. The mind is free of the burdens of thoughts, ideas, opinions. When I see the actual activity of the mind, I don't care about thoughts anymore. Thoughts are limited. Thoughts are contradicting, absurd. When I care about thoughts, I only care about myself. Therefore, I'm self-centered, isolated. But when I really concerned about the actual activity of neuron cells, I'm concerned about the humanity. I'm concerned about the world. There's tremendous beauty there. Otherwise, life is in poverty. It's like a dried river. There's nothing there. So there's only seeking fulfillment, seeking satisfaction. And the sex becomes so important in this so-called Western civilization. Sex is being talked about all the time. Various pleasurable things are invented. Movies, music. See the influence of it on this world. Or can we see the fact that there's no beauty in life at all? Life is totally in poverty. Though we have a lot of things, we have a lot in the bank account. But without beauty, life is actually in poverty. Without that beauty, life is meaningless. And one can seek meaning. But no matter what one seeks, it is meaningless. But when there's beauty there, life is naturally meaningful. Can one live life as a human being, not as an individual? Individual, as we said in the session today, is a fragment. It's related to fragments. It's a thought product. To live as a human being is the flowering of the intelligence, isn't it? The mind is perceiving. Therefore, not stuck in thoughts. It is naturally concerned about all human beings in the world. Otherwise, the mind is stuck in thoughts. There's only self-centeredness, selfishness. Alright, I think we have discussed a lot today in today's session about thoughts, observation, perceiving, and beauty, compassion. I think that's enough for today's session. If there's no questions, then that's the end of the session. If you like, also welcome to donate to support this initiative, which is always vulnerable because it's never functioning in any mental construct of the society. Life needs this purity. And Cico is doing whatever he can do to live in this way. And hopefully more people can do it. The very truthful living is the greatest rebellion to this ugly world. And living this way, truthfully, is also be a lie to yourself. And in that living, the light can dispel more darkness. in this world. Great. I think that's the end of the session. And take care. And thank you for everybody's donation and support to this pure event. Take care.